What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to go over some of the best setups in the market right now. Today, I saw some insane moves in the options market for 500 to 700% and even more. If today was not a great day for you, that's all right. We're going to go over all the best setups and important information you need to know to make the rest of this week a great one. But Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, we had a big drop to the downside at open today, and I will say it was rough to see, but then we recovered right back to the upside, so that was great. You know, we ended up recovering back, and we saw a few stocks continue, like Rivian. You know, they had a nice pop this morning. At open, they didn't necessarily explode. AI had another fantastic day. We had Square moving, Meta's running up, so overall today, it was a pretty good day in the stock market. Lots of good moves to the upside, which I was happy about. There was a couple things falling down. Even Tesla had a nice bullish day running up as well. So I'll take it, Mike. You know, another good day today after that, you know, after the 4th yesterday. I hope everybody had a good holiday, by the way. But, you know, getting into the market here, I did see that obviously the big thing on everybody's minds this morning was the Fed minutes. You know, we had the FOMC minutes come out and they talked about a whole bunch of stuff. They said obviously that there's more hikes to come, and they actually debated pretty vigorously, they're saying here, whether to pause hikes this time or whether to keep raising them. And it looked like they ended up unanimously voting to pause, but they did have some pretty vigorous debates, they're saying. So seems like they're a little bit mixed. Some people are thinking in the Fed's, Mike, there might be 2 more rate hikes. A lot of people are thinking 1. Whenever you go look at things being priced in, there's 1 being priced in at the next meeting in July. But after that, they should hold steady, at least as of what's being priced in right now on the FedWatch tool. But very interesting here. I know they were talking a lot about the labor market and everything like that. And it's, you know, definitely a scary thing whenever they talk about recessions as well.
Exactly. You know, whenever you have Fed members say that R word, it's definitely a scary thing to see. But I will say this, though. The S&P 500's performance for the first half of this year has been historic. Literally. So what we're seeing right now is actually the second best first half of the year than we've seen in over 23 years. This is awesome to see, and as we could tell just by looking at the market overall, there's still a lot of buying pressure across a bunch of different stocks, and here's some data that'll excite a lot of people. So as we can see on the table right now, the market is set, at least statistically speaking, to keep running higher from this table at least. So essentially, when you have a great first half of the year and the year before that, which would be 2022, was down 86% of the time, the second half of the year is positive, and 100% of the time, the entire year ends in a positive situation. So it's definitely optimistic to see. You know, we've had an amazing first half so far, and last year was red. So I love to see historical data like this, and I'm sure it gives the bulls at least a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I would say so as well. And, you know, I know that a lot of people right now are really scared of a pullback. I'm even worried about it. But there's been scenarios where these stocks just keep going. And I'm not saying that, like, Nvidia has to keep going or Meta has to keep going necessarily. But, you know, these stocks, they're powerhouses. And whenever the bulls come in and we start to see buyers truly buy this up and it starts to get a lot of hype and momentum, you know, we break those all-time highs. We've seen it time and time again. Even if we go to, like, you know, QQQ, go out to a daily chart, go back to like 2018, 2019, 2020. Look at 2020, 2021. People were having their minds blown whenever these stocks were creating those highs. And, you know, we still have room to go here to reach our previous highs. So I still think that there's room, Mike, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you look at the market overall and you're like, man, it's hard to go all in though up here at the top. That's for sure.
And what's also interesting is that we literally just started the second half of this year. So it's possible to see a pullback and then, you know, run higher just later in the year, you know? And I think that is actually somewhat probable because we still have a long way to go until 2023 ends, which is, you know, it's a good thing. And, you know, as I'm looking at the market right now, whether it be QQQ or SPY or some of these big tech stocks, it's like, Tom, I'll tell you, we're getting closer and closer and closer to a new all-time high for the S&P 500.
Yeah, we really are. Like, look at this SPY right here. It's running up. An all-time high would be up somewhere around like 480, 481, you know, somewhere up around there. And we're down around 443. I think that there's, you know, possibility we might run down to retest maybe this bottom trend line. I know that, you know, we've looked at these trend lines on the SPY for a while. It had a big down year in 2022 at that trend line. So far this year, it's been riding this bottom line to the upside, and you know, it might come down and test that before going higher. You know, a lot of people like to look at price action and stuff like that in some of those ways. But yeah, and it really scares me, especially whenever I hear the Feds talking about recessions and stuff. You know, we talked about the Feds pausing and them, you know, possibly raising rates here. We know that the market hates it generally whenever rates are being raised. Now, I know it's supposed to help the overall market in the long run of things, you know, obviously with inflation and stuff, but man, I'm hearing them still foresee a recession this year. And to me, that's very, very worrying. Like, I think that if there's a recession, some of these tech stocks are going to get hit really, really hard, in my opinion.
No doubt about that. And I guess one thing that'll kind of counteract the selling pressure in the market are just buybacks. You know, it's like, as a, you know, you could say long-term investor or even just a trader, stock buybacks are like a perfect thing you want on a stock you're trading, because we're talking about like tens or hundreds of billions of dollars of direct buying pressure. And we can see for 2023, we are set for the biggest year of buybacks ever, you know, and that's awesome to see. And buybacks just keep going up and up and up. And it's like, you know, it's just direct buying pressure right into these stocks. So that's just another thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, and what's also interesting to me, Mike, is that if we go back to our S&P 500 chart here, you can actually see that in 2018, which is interesting to me, we had that down year, right? Negative 6.24%. And if we go back here to the buyback chart and we go out to 2018, this is actually the year where we had the most buybacks, was actually during the down year 2018. So I find that kind of interesting too.
Exactly. And then, you know, a lot of people right now are like looking at, let's say, some of these big tech stocks, whether it be Apple or Microsoft or Google or Amazon or Tesla or Nvidia, right? You name it, and they're doing pretty dang good. But a lot of people are like, you know what? I don't know if we're going to have a recession. I don't know if the market's going to keep going up. I don't know what to do. And I definitely see where a lot of people are coming from, because it's hard to buy big tech stocks when they're up so much, you know, like especially Nvidia. I was looking at that one today, and it's up like 200% or something crazy like that from lows. It might even be more. The main point is that it's up a ton, and it's like, it's hard to, you know, start buying now. At the same time, it's like, it's even harder to short some of these stocks when they just run up every single day. So what a lot of people are actually looking towards is the growth stocks, and they're starting to see a lot of inflows right now, believe it or not. So looking at the chart on the screen right now, we can see the trends by market cap for inflows. And what we can see right now is some of these small caps actually seeing some recent inflows, which is a great thing. We can see all the way at the top in the blue bars, you know, that shows that the large caps have seen a lot of money constantly just flowing into them, right? But for the small caps and for the mid caps, which is in the orange and the green, they don't get that same type of love. You know, they have to earn their respect a lot more. And we just recently started to see mid caps and small caps flip positive. So it goes to show you that, you know, even if you don't want to get into some of these big tech stocks, there's nothing wrong trading the small caps, because they're up a lot less than the big caps right now.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, some of these we've been talking about a lot lately, you know, like Lucid Motors. That's been one that's had a lot of stuff, a lot of news lately, like with the Saudi PIF, Public Investment Fund coming in, stuff like that. You know, Square's another stock. I'm not saying this is necessarily a super small stock, but it's pretty low down here, you know, down around like $65, $70. It's definitely no Meta, no Nvidia, no Apple, no Amazon. You know, it's one of those stocks that are down. And I think that those inflows, Mike, are a really good chart, because I've been kind of foreseeing this coming for a little while now. And I think that this will start to happen, where we see Nvidia, some of these bigger tech stocks start to dip back down, maybe fill some of those gaps that they had this year that were insane. I mean, those gaps were crazy to the upside. But as those gaps fill, that money's going to go somewhere. And I think it's going to go into some of those smaller caps and even maybe start to flow into some things like metals and oil and maybe other stuff like that even, as that stuff starts to get bought back up more too.
For sure. So definitely keep a close eye on some of these smaller tech stocks. And when we say smaller tech stocks, these companies can still be worth like billions and billions of dollars. So keep a close eye on them. Some of the recent ones that have been moving with some power is Lucid, which Tom mentioned. You have some other ones like Affirm that have been doing pretty well. Palantir has been doing pretty well, but that's been booming for like months now. So I don't know if I would necessarily like keep a super close eye on that one, but like even like honestly, I would actually even say Square. This one's like arguably not a small cap, but hey, it's still a lot lower than, a stock like Nvidia.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the big thing right now. I don't even know if it's necessarily like small cap, mid caps. Like I'm really looking at stocks right now that have been like lagging behind those bigger tech stocks, and it's weird to me to see Square lagging that much behind, but hey, I'll take it, Mike, because hey, this dip's looking pretty good here. I know that this is actually one of your plays for today as well.
Yeah, we'll cover that in just a second, but we can't completely stray away from the R word just yet. So, as we mentioned, a couple arguments for the possible recession, there is actually a new reading by the U.S. yield curve right now, with the probability of a recession increasing a ton. So we could see basically right now, we are seeing the highest probability of a recession than we've seen since the 1980s. So it's definitely pretty scary to see, and it just it makes this whole market and whole economic situation just very unique. And ultimately, whether we do see a recession or we don't, I think there's gonna be a ton of opportunities associated with that.
Man, Mike, you're telling me that like right now we have a like 20% or so ish higher chance to have a recession than during the Great Recession. That's blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, it goes to show you, it's such an interesting and unique economic situation right now. So good stuff there. But Tom, there's one specific stock today that took almost all of the eyes at market open. We talked about this stock yesterday. It is Meta. The options on this stock today went insane. It's powering to the upside in a major way. What is going on with this one?
Yeah, this is awesome. So we talked about Meta Threads, right? And, personally, I don't think it's going to be too much of a big thing. It's like a copycat of Twitter in a way. You can see it really helped that stock here as that announcement started coming out. And Threads is going to be, like I said, like a Twitter copycat almost. Honestly, this is what it looks like. It kind of just looks like Instagram or Facebook. You're going to be able to keep the same username, follow the same accounts you have on Instagram, stuff like that. So, you don't have to like totally rebuild a new account or anything weird, but it's going to be interesting. These posts here, like this guy says, discovered a new coffee shop in my neighborhood and I'm in love. Honestly, it just seems like something you put on Facebook. I think that maybe they're starting to see that some of the, Facebook numbers are maybe starting to be a little bit iffy, you'd say, maybe they're trying to get more into like modernizing Facebook in a way with this, but I kind of like it. I think it could help Meta, and the more the merrier, right? This company gets into so much stuff. The metaverse, headsets, Facebook, Threads, Instagram. I mean, who knows what else? There's probably 300 other things I didn't name, but man, it's just cool to see Meta continuing to do this stuff, and I can't wait to see that cage match, Mike. This is going to give Elon some definite encouragement to do it now.
Exactly. Like Zuckerberg's just straight up copying his company. Like this is, from everything I've read, just like a copy and paste version of Twitter, but it has like that Instagram type feel to it. So it's interesting anytime you see like a new social media app come into play. I'm very curious to see how the execution of this works. I feel like if any company and any person out there could make it work, I would imagine it would be Zuckerberg. He has a good reputation for that, even though he steals a lot of ideas from Snapchat or Twitter or wherever else. But, it has worked for him in a pretty good way. So we'll see what happens. Investors have been pretty hyped up for this news, as we can see by Meta stock right now. For Meta, for tomorrow, it has a lot of momentum. Obviously, if we continue to get more and more hype, and like, let's say there's some great like sign up data for threads released, that can definitely boost Meta higher. But this is going to be a stock completely based off of like momentum and news for the next couple days. And what's scary, Tom, is there's a huge resistance right at 300.
Yeah, there is. I had to go all the way back to January of 2022 here before we saw the big crash. Everything started crashing down to actually get us back there to that big resistance. $300 is going to be huge there, so keep that in mind. And, like you mentioned, Mike, if that release ends up going bad and if there's like not good numbers, then that could be a big negative for it as well with that resistance overhead. Kind of scary here, but I'm hoping for a good launch, and it should be coming out tomorrow, so be ready for it early in the morning. You can actually go see it on Instagram right now. If you type in threads in the search bar, there's a little red ticket that pops up you can click.
Perfect. All right, Tom, well, let's get into the fun stuff, which is the setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is Square. So I actually talked about this one quite a bit last week to the upside, and hey, it's been booming, which is awesome to see, but I think it has even more potential. I'll say this, there's a big resistance right at $70 a share right now for SQ. If it breaks above that with some solid momentum, solid volume, I think this one can definitely keep going higher.
Yeah, I do too. It has a double top here today running up to 70. That could be a great level for tomorrow. So I like it too, Mike. I'll be keeping it on the radar. I'll tell you what, I'm even going to place an alert there right at like 70.16 to get an alert whenever that baby breaks out, because Square was definitely one of my favorites today as well. One that I had to mention is Beyond Meat. This is another one that is another one of those growth stocks that has had some good news lately. They're starting to get some good momentum. They're up 4.86%. If they can start to break back above like $14 tomorrow, I'll definitely start to look at calls again. When I go out to the daily on Beyond, and I actually make the chart look right, it looks pretty good. Yeah, you can see it's down here pretty low, getting some nice momentum back. And I think that with that good news, this one could maybe start to hit $15 or maybe even $16 here in the next couple weeks.
All right, good stuff. Another one I'm watching pretty closely is Amazon, but it is to the downside. I'll say, looking at Amazon stock right now, like, it's hanging in there, but it's not necessarily doing like good in the very short term. It's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad. It's just not good. It's just kind of been moving in like a sus way, you can say. So if Amazon starts to show a little bit of like downwards like price action, I will definitely be looking at this one for like a play to the downside. I can definitely see this one pulling back to like the 125 area as like a first stop, and then even lower. But we'll assess this one as it moves. But either way, I am watching Amazon to the downside for the rest of the week.
Geez, I'll tell you, if this thing ends up breaking that high here around like 130, 150 to 132, I'm going to give up, Mike. Like, it's just like these stocks never fall anymore. It's like just, all they do is go up lately. But I think as that recession starts to come in later this year, we'll start to see some definite downwards movement. One that I had to talk about was Tessie. Good old Tesla. And I had to talk about it to the upside. They just keep on ripping. Good news coming in. They keep letting other companies use their stuff like Ford and Lucid and Rivian and these other companies, letting them use their chargers. So getting a lot of hype. And I know Elon's been really hyping things up lately. They had those good delivery numbers. They've been lowering prices and stuff. I mean, it's been a great year for Tesla as far as growth goes on the production side of things. So I'll definitely be looking for that break above like 280, 450 tomorrow. That should be a pretty big level.
Sounds great. But Tom, it is now time for those dang momentum plays. And with the first one, we have NIO to the upside.
NIO, the good old China EV stock. Those EVs had quite the day today. Go ahead and make them break out above $10.50 tomorrow, just above the high of yesterday, actually.
All right, with the next one, we have NVIDIA to the downside.
Yeah, NVDA. I saw some bad news with these chip stocks in China today as well, so keep that on the radar. If they fall under 420, look at puts. That's a pretty big support. You might be able to trade it down to 420, but I would honestly make it break there.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Netflix, and we need both directions on this one.
Yeah, this one keeps popping up. Kind of reminds me of like Microsoft, Apple, those big tech stocks just keep going here. If they break out above 448, look at some calls. But if they end up falling under intraday support right around 440, then look at puts.
All right, well, you guys heard Tom. We have that downside level for puts. We have the upside level for calls. And then don't forget about NVIDIA with the downside level for puts as well. And then that crazy China stock, NIO, with that upside level for calls. But it is now time for the trade that everyone has been waiting for. And that is the big money $1.03 million trade of the day. And we are looking at Neo's cousin, XPEV right here. So for those of you who don't know, this is another electric vehicle stock. It's based in China. Crazy stock. It moves all over the place. It's not a bad thing though. And whenever you're following hedge fund trades, sometimes trading the more, I guess you could say, smaller cap and volatile stocks, even if they're overseas, can be great because they are much easier to manipulate. So essentially with a stock like this, we're seeing someone plow over $1 million into the $12.50 strike call options that expire on October 20th of 2023. Right now, the stock's at just under $15 a share right now, and a couple weeks ago it was lingering around like 8, even less than that. So it's been moving to the upside in a good way. It has a lot of momentum right now. This stock actually has all-time highs of like $75 a share that it made back in November of 2020. So it's had a wild ride, to say the least. But like I said, it's moving with some momentum right now. It's a little bit overbought in the short term, but I feel like overall it has some good time to it. The options are in the money, and I do like the setup overall.
Yeah, I like it too. It's starting to really get some good momentum back, and I think for day traders out there, this will be great. You know, you could follow the big money and maybe buy some of these calls to hold, or you could just watch it. You know, we know that the big money's bullish on it, or at least we're hoping that they're bullish on these calls. If they shorted those calls, Mike, I would be, I don't think they deserve to be the big money, but it's definitely interesting there. That's a lot of money into such a small stock like this. And I think that just going forward, you know, keep in mind, this is a bullish market right now for some of these smaller cap stocks like this. And as the money flows in, it's going to be good to maybe get some day trades in on these. Like, man, 5-6% today. That was awesome.
Exactly. You know, this stock's crazy, and, you know, I just think following the big money or following the smart money is such a great concept. We've seen it work perfectly time and time again. Like CCL was a huge one recently. It's like when you see these hedge funds or multi-million-dollar traders dump millions of dollars into these options, you shouldn't be surprised when it runs up. You could say, I don't always want to say a couple days later, but because some of them take a couple weeks or months, but, you know, it's important following the big money. So for that reason, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, because we go over big money, multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades in every single video. They work great, and if you don't subscribe, you're going to miss out on all these gains. So make sure to subscribe for sure. And if you also want to get in on the awesome day trading action that we've seen lately, join the StockedUp Stat Modeling Group. It's going to be that first link in the description in the comments down below. We had an awesome post from St. John MW today saying he had a lot of fun using the Discord to trade today. It was his first time using it, and he made profits on like 3 different setups. So awesome job, St. John. Welcome to the community. It's awesome to have you. And for anyone else looking to capitalize on this momentum, join up. It's that first link. You'll also get access to our custom day trading bots, other multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades, and more tools and software than I can even name in this video. Seriously, you have all the tools you could possibly need to definitely take advantage of the market right now. So check it out. It's that first link in the description, in the comments down below. You can cancel it anytime. But Tom, going into tomorrow, you know, we're seeing a lot of great movement in the market today. Do you have any final thoughts, or is there anything else you're hiding from us.
Yeah, there might be, Mike. I'm hiding something on the calendar again. So tomorrow we actually don't have too much. We had the JOLTS job openings, ISM services, PMI. We're done with the minutes, thank God, and it didn't really affect the market too much, so I'm happy for that today. But on Friday, we have the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate. Those are going to be pretty big events there, 1 hour before the market opens. The Feds really watch that data as well. They've been really focusing on jobs. Even we talked about that earlier. The labor market is so important for them. So really watch these numbers on Friday.
Beautiful. Well, I'm pretty excited for it tomorrow. Even though the market itself didn't move like too much today, the intraday movement was really good, and I think that's awesome going into the rest of this week. So I'm pretty excited. Join the stat modeling program if you haven't already. The day trades have been going pretty great lately, so it's that first link in the description and the comments down below. But besides that, guys, let's have an amazing rest of the week.